July 2025 looked like a victory lap for America's busiest ports. The Port of Los Angeles set an all-time monthly record in June, and Long Beach followed with its busiest July ever. Savannah posted one of its strongest years, while New York, New Jersey held steady near the top of national rankings. On the surface, the numbers tell a story of strength. But those record-breaking figures didn't happen by accident. They were fueled by a surge of front-loading shipments. Importers rushed goods in before the August 12th tariff truce deadline, locking in current rates before potential hikes. At the same time, two new rules reshaped shipping decisions almost overnight. The 40% transshipment tariff targets goods routed through ASEAN hubs if most components still come from China. The 100% chip tariff hits a wide range of electronics, from laptops to smart appliances, with only narrow exemptions. Together, they push costs higher, slow routing options, and leave supply chains more exposed. When the front-loaded cargo clears, volumes could drop sharply, right before the holiday season. Some states are ready for the shock. Others will feel it first. And we start with number 5. Florida. Number 5. Florida. Florida's economy is built on sunshine, tourism, and a steady flow of imported goods that keep both visitors and residents spending. From Miami's luxury boutiques to Orlando's theme park gift shops, retail corridors rely on container ships docking at Port Miami and Port Everglades. These ports are lifelines for everything from electronics and apparel to furniture, linens, and specialty foods. In June 2025, Port Everglades saw loaded container volumes climb year over year, a clear sign of front-loading before the August 12th tariff truce deadline. But that surge masks a vulnerability. When shipments slow, Florida feels it almost immediately. Cruise lines operating out of Miami and Fort Lauderdale depend heavily on imported food, beverages, decor, and guest amenities. Under the 40% transshipment tariff, even goods assembled in Vietnam or Malaysia can face higher duties if components originate in China. The 100% chip tariff raises costs on electronics used in cruise terminals, hotels, and attractions, from check-in kiosks to entertainment systems. Retailers catering to tourists are already adjusting by placing smaller, more frequent orders and favoring higher-margin products. That means visitors may find fewer choices on shelves and higher prices on popular items. For year-round residents, the impact is similar. Big-box chains and local stores that source household goods from Asia will either absorb tighter margins or pass costs on to customers. Florida's dependence on tourism amplifies the effect. When the flow of goods slows, the service sector, from port workers to hospitality staff, can feel the pinch. If front-loading gives way to a soft fall, Florida's import-driven retail and tourism supply chains will be on the front line. The beaches may still be busy, but the containers that keep Florida's economy stocked could arrive less often and at a higher price. That's why, under Trump Tariffs 2025, the Sunshine State lands at number 5. Number 4. Illinois. Illinois may be landlocked, but its economy runs on the heartbeat of America's coastal ports. Chicago is one of the largest intermodal freight hubs in the world, where trains and trucks connect imported goods from Los Angeles, Long Beach, New York, New Jersey, and Savannah to the rest of the Midwest. When volumes rise or fall on the coasts, the ripple hits Illinois fast. In July 2025, West Coast ports recorded record throughput thanks to front-loading ahead of the August 12th tariff truce deadline. But the National Retail Federation projects a steep pullback in import volumes between August and November, signaling a slowdown is already in motion. Illinois is particularly sensitive because many of its businesses run on just-in-time inventory. Appliances, electronics, packaged foods, and home improvement products flow into Chicago's rail yards before being distributed across the region. The 100% chip tariff is especially painful here, pushing up costs for items ranging from laptops to smart refrigerators. The 40% transshipment tariff compounds the problem, raising duties on goods routed through ASEAN assembly hubs that still contain Chinese components. Small and mid-sized retailers in Illinois face tough choices: raise prices, delay promotions, or risk stockouts. For consumers, that can mean fewer deals, longer wait times, and reduced product variety, particularly heading into the holiday season. Warehousing and distribution jobs in the state also depend on consistent cargo flow. If front-loading gives way to a quieter fall, payrolls in logistics could shrink, affecting communities far from the nearest port. Illinois's position as a central hub is both its strength and its weakness. It thrives when America's import engine is running at full speed. But under Trump Tariffs 2025, shifts in global trade routes make the state's economy vulnerable to slowdowns it cannot control, earning Illinois the number 4 spot on this list. Number 3. New York. New York is home to one of the busiest and most strategically important gateways in the United States, the Port of New York and New Jersey. This massive complex serves not only the New York metropolitan area, but also much of the Northeast and inland markets. In the first half of 2025, the port handled a 4.9% year-over-year increase in loaded containers, maintaining its position as the nation's second busiest port. Much of that growth came from front-loading shipments ahead of the August 12th tariff truce deadline, as importers rushed to beat potential cost hikes. But June's volume was essentially flat compared to 2024, a sign that momentum may be peaking. The 40% transshipment tariff is a direct threat to New York's import mix, which includes apparel, toys, and household goods often assembled in ASEAN countries, but still containing Chinese components. The 100% chip tariff also impacts electronics bound for retailers across Manhattan, Long Island, and the tri-state area. Large department stores and national chains are already adapting, redesigning SKUs, cutting orders, and raising prices to protect margins. For smaller retailers in boroughs like Brooklyn or Queens, higher wholesale costs could mean thinner inventories and fewer seasonal promotions. Because the port is a redistribution hub, any slowdown here affects not just New York, but also Pennsylvania, New England, and parts of the Midwest. Longshoremen, truckers, and warehouse staff all rely on steady cargo flow to keep paychecks stable. If front-loading gives way to a softer autumn, job security and retail variety could be at risk just as the holiday season begins. Under Trump Tariffs 2025, New York's role as a critical entry point for imported goods is a double-edged sword, one that earns it the number 3 position on this list. Number 2. Georgia. Georgia's port of Savannah has grown into one of the most important container gateways on the U.S. East Coast. Its deep-water terminals handle a wide range of imports: apparel, electronics, furniture, home decor, feeding retail shelves and distribution centers across the Southeast. In fiscal year 2025, Savannah posted an 8.6% increase in container volumes, marking its second busiest year on record. That success was fueled in part by front-loading shipments ahead of the August 12th tariff truce deadline, as importers raced to avoid higher costs. But June 2025 told a different story. Loaded imports through Savannah dropped 9.6% year-over-year, highlighting just how quickly volumes can swing. The 40% transshipment tariff directly impacts Georgia's import profile, which often includes goods assembled in ASEAN hubs but containing Chinese components. Retailers in Atlanta, Charlotte, and other Southeast markets rely on Savannah for seasonal merchandise, electronics, and big-ticket household items. The 100% chip tariff adds another layer of cost pressure, especially for appliances, entertainment systems, and smart home devices. When freight slows, the impact ripples inland to regional warehouses, trucking companies, and rail yards that depend on steady port activity. Local economies tied to Savannah's distribution network, including parts of Alabama, Tennessee, and the Carolinas, feel the effects almost immediately. For Georgia, the port's rapid growth has been both an economic engine and a source of vulnerability. Its strength lies in high-volume, fast-moving global trade. But under Trump Tariffs 2025, shifts in shipping patterns and higher import duties could turn that strength into a liability. A record-setting summer could quickly give way to a quieter, more expensive import season. A reality that places Georgia firmly at number 2 on this list. Number 1. California. California is the beating heart of America's import economy, anchored by two of the busiest container ports in the world, the Port of Los Angeles and the Port of Long Beach. In June 2025, the Port of Los Angeles set a new monthly record for container throughput. Just weeks later, the Port of Long Beach recorded its busiest July ever. These back-to-back records were driven by a surge of front-loading shipments ahead of the August 12th tariff truce deadline, as importers raced to bring in goods before possible tariff hikes. But the same factors that fueled California's summer boom now expose it to the steepest risks. The state's import mix is heavily weighted toward electronics, appliances, apparel, and other consumer goods, all categories hit hard by the 100% chip tariff. The 40% transshipment tariff compounds the pressure, targeting goods routed through ASEAN assembly hubs that still contain Chinese components. From Silicon Valley tech firms to big-box retailers in Los Angeles, San Diego, and the Central Valley, higher import costs can quickly translate into higher prices and slimmer profit margins. California's ports are not just state assets. They are national gateways. Cargo arriving in Los Angeles and Long Beach flows to rail lines, trucking routes, and distribution hubs serving the entire country. If import volumes fall sharply in the fall, warehouse employment in Southern California's vast logistics sector could take a hit, amplifying the economic impact. Retailers could face delays, reduced variety, and higher wholesale costs just as the holiday shopping season peaks. Under Trump Tariffs 2025, California's status as America's top import hub is both its greatest strength and its greatest vulnerability, a reality that puts it at number 1 on this list. What to watch? As the August 12th tariff truce deadline approaches, a few key signals will reveal whether the summer's record port activity will hold or fade. First, track TEU counts at the Port of Los Angeles, Long Beach, New York, New Jersey, and Savannah in late August and September. A sharp drop would confirm that front-loading has run its course. Second, watch the outcome of the truce talks. An expansion of tariffs could trigger immediate shifts in shipping patterns, especially for consumer goods and electronics. Third, monitor retail pricing for toys, apparel, and electronics as the holiday season nears. Early increases often signal supply chain stress. Behind the numbers are real people. In Illinois, an electronics store owner has already faced 3-week delays for popular laptops. In Florida, a hotel manager says the cost of imported linens jumped 18% in 2 months. A New York toy retailer cut holiday orders by 20% to avoid being stuck with overpriced inventory. For port workers, truckers, warehouse crews, and small business owners, these trends aren't just headlines. They're paychecks, profits, and the difference between a busy season and a slow one. 5 states, 1 signal. Florida, Illinois, New York, Georgia, and California are vastly different in culture, economy, and geography. But under Trump Tariffs 2025, they share a single, critical vulnerability: a heavy reliance on imported goods now being redirected away from the United States. The record-breaking summer at America's ports wasn't a sign of lasting strength. It was a surge of front-loading before policies and costs changed. What comes through those ports in the next 90 days will decide how hard the impact feels: on store shelves, in business margins, and in household budgets. If you live in one of these states, you're closer to the front lines of global trade than you might think. Stay informed, watch the numbers, and prepare for the possibility that the goods you need could cost more or arrive later. If you found this breakdown useful, hit like, subscribe for more fact-based analysis, and share this video so others can see the data behind the headlines.